everybody, and welcome to LTC Fantasy or Lift the Cup Fantasy, however you want to call it. Today's our waiver wire episode for week 16. The middle of the week, we'll be having another one next week too. But with the All-Star break, we're going to focus this week on the 8 teams that have played the fewest amount of games and who to look at with lower ownership that you can pick up, because as the league progresses, they're obviously going to get more man games played because, well, there's been such a disparity. Normally it's 2 or 3 games, but there's as much as 10 games difference played with COVID going on in the league and cancellations. Those 8 teams are going to be the Islanders, Minnesota, Ottawa, Edmonton, Calgary, Winnipeg, Toronto, and Carolina. We're also going to break it down to goalies first, D-men, and forwards. So remember to look in the timeline, just in case you're looking for something in particular, and it'll get you to the right spot in the video where you need to be. Or maybe you're thinking D one day, forward the next. Remember to subscribe. That way it's easier to get back to the video and get to the right portion of the video that you need. And we'll jump right into it. Goalies, really, these teams, they have a lot of high ownership goalies. One I look at is Kaapo Kähkönen. He's at 49%. Talbot is back, so he'll be taking, obviously, the majority of the starts. But Kähkönen's numbers are better than Talbot's, so I would trust him, especially with having more games to go than most teams. There's chance of more back-to-backs where I could see him getting a few more starts and maybe pull the reins away from Talbot. Same with Semyon Varlamov. He's owned in 69%, so he is up there, and Sorokin has been getting most of the starts, but that's somebody in a back-to-back situation that you might be able to pick up and get there. Edmonton, you really don't know what's going on there. Koskinen's a flying mess. He's good for 3-4 games, an absolute junk. Smith is supposed to be apparently practicing again, so he might be back soon, but he's been out twice already with injuries, so I'd really wait to see that. If Smith does come back, he's obviously more dependable than Koskinen, but I really don't like his injury troubles this year. And it's been more of an alternating starts in Ottawa with Forsberg and Murray lately, so I don't really like those options, and there's not a lot of wins to come by in Ottawa. Vladar in Calgary isn't really much of a threat with Markstrom. Same with Comrie and Winnipeg with Hellebuck. It's just not going to happen, so that's why I have those 2. Moving right on to D-men, though, I do like Noah Dobson of the New York Islanders. He's only owned in 26% of the leagues. And remember, they have only 38 games played, whereas Anaheim's the highest at 48. So you look at, that's 10 games that you get to catch up on some teams. He has 16 points in 35 games, and surprisingly, as a young guy, he has quite a few blocks, 74 blocks on the year, so that adds some value if that counts in your league. He is on the second pairing and first power play unit, so yeah, that's a decent option for you. I look at Jared Spurgeon from Minnesota. He's owned in 68% of Yahoo leagues. He's on the first pairing, first power play unit. He has 15 points in 35 games played. And I look, since he came back from injury, he has 8 points in the last 6 games. So he's obviously the most offensive guy on that blue line there. Another one to check out is Matt Dumba from Minnesota. Only mentioned him, but his ownership is higher at 75%, but there's still a 1 in 4 chance. And he's not as offensive as Spurgeon, but better all around, just in case it's a broad-based catch league that you're in. Rasmus Andersson from Calgary, he's owned in 35% of Yahoo leagues. He's been on that first pairing and first power play unit all year. Sutter really doesn't stray away from change, so I'd expect that to be the same the rest of the year. He has 20 points in 40 games. He's up to 68 blocks, which is nice, and he has 4 points in the last 6 games played, so he's even picked up the production a little bit. Next one is Evan Bouchard from Edmonton. He's up to 50% owned. He has 24 points in 41 games played. He's on that first pairing, first power play with Barry out, and he has 5 points in the last 5 games played. Even with Barry in the lineup, he hasn't been getting as many power play points, but he's producing on a more consistent basis, so I do like him. Look at Nate Schmidt from Winnipeg. He's owned in 21% of Yahoo leagues. He's on the first pairing and first power play unit. He has 20 points in 40 games. He has 52 blocks, so a decent amount of blocks, and 11 points have been on the power play. And he's been on that first power play for a little bit now. He's actually outproducing Pionk, and Pionk has a way higher ownership, so that's somebody you might be able to sneak in there. Look at Jacob Slavin from Carolina. He's up to 58% ownership. He's on the first pairing and second power play unit. He has 22 points in 40 games played, so he's over half point per game. And he has 71 blocks, so quite a few blocks if that's counted. Look at Brady Shea from Carolina again. He's owned in 23% of Yahoo leagues. He's on the second pairing. He has 17 points in 42 games played, so not over that half point per game, but he has 12 points in the last 14. So think about that. He had 5 points in the first 28 games, and also he's really turned it up. 12 points in the last 14. Moving on to forwards, I look at Josh Bailey from New York. He's only owned in 4% of Yahoo leagues, listed as left wing, right wing. He has 20 points in 32 games and 6 points in his last 7 games played. So he's been picking it up. Couple other options from New York is Anders Lee and Brock Nelson. Anders Lee plays on the first line with Barzal and the first power play unit, and Nelson has 8 points the last 7 games played. The only reason I don't like them quite as much as Bailey is Bailey's been a bit more consistent throughout the year, where you won't go the stretches where you're pulling your hair out saying, "What the hell, I dressed you, and you're doing nothing for me." From Minnesota, I look at Matthew Boldy, listed as left wing, only owned in 9% of Yahoo leagues. Plays on the second pairing and first power play unit, and he's only played in 9 games this year, but in 9 games he's had 9 points since being called up. 3 of those being on the power play, and he's had 23 shots on goal in those 9 games. So he's been a very good fantasy asset in those 9 games. It's probably why his ownership has jumped up, even though it's only 9, but has jumped up to that 9%. I look at Tim Stützle from Ottawa. He's listed as center left winger, owned in 33% of Yahoo leagues. He's on that first line with Batherson out and the first power play unit. He has 21 points in 38 games played. He had another point the other night, and Batherson's supposed to be out at least 2 months with that high ankle sprain, so Stützle's going to be there for a while, so I'd look to add him. Possibly Evander Kane from Edmonton. He's left wing, right wing. He's up to 70% owned. He only has 1 goal in 2 games played, but I do mention him because he is playing on that first line with McDavid. He's on the second power play unit, and in those 2 games, he's thrown 8 hits and had 6 shots on goal. So even those secondary metrics, and McDavid makes people better. So Kane's going to get you points there. Definitely look at him. Another one from Edmonton is Jesse Puljujarvi. He's listed as a right winger, owned in 37% of Yahoo leagues. He is playing on that second line with Draisaitl, and he does play on the top power play unit. So there's a lot of chance for points when you're playing with Draisaitl, your normal ice time, and then both Draisaitl and McDavid on the power play. He has 25 points in 39 games played, and he likes to shoot the puck. He has 101 shots on the year. Next one is Blake Wheeler. He's listed as center right winger, only owned in 68% of Yahoo leagues. He plays in that top line and top power play unit. He has 20 points in 27 games played, but even look at it, he's been on a real heater lately. He has 13 points in the last 10 games played. So definitely take a look at him. Andrew Kopp is another one. He's listed as center, left wing, right wing. He's only owned in 55% of Yahoo leagues. He's on the top line right now, second power play unit. He has 28 points in 41 games played, and he likes to shoot too. He has 113 shots on goal. Problem with Kopp is that he can be frustrating with those with his hot and cold streaks. He had He only has 1 point in the last 4 games, but before that he put up 6 points in 5 games. So he's really peaks and valleys with him, which can be a little frustrating, but somebody to consider if you need a streamer. Last one to look at is Seth Jarvis. He's listed as center right wing, only owned in 4% of Yahoo leagues. He's on the second line right now and second power play unit. He has 18 points in 33 games played. He's been better as the season progressed, where he's getting regular ice time in the top 6, and he's starting to hit and shoot more lately. So if those secondary cats are in your league, I'd definitely take a look at him. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Tomorrow we'll be coming out focusing on the same 8 teams, but looking at trade targets with the higher ownership players on those teams. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit like, hit subscribe, and remember that bell so you get notified of future episodes. And good luck, fantasy owners. Talk to you soon.